Hello students, I'm Professor Benavides and I want to go ahead and cover how to do Lab 1 from COSC 1315. The first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and click on Modules, and let's open up Unit 1 so that we can go ahead and see the link for Lab 1. Here you see the link for Lab 1. So we'll click on that link. Now let's just take a look at a few facts. At the very top I can see the due date, how much it's worth, and the date until it will be available. So we have the due date and then the closing date. So anything after the due date will be 50 points off, and then after the closing date it won't be accepted at all. You'll be able to submit it by clicking on the Submit Assignment button up here at the top. But first of all, I see a little notice on here, and here's the situation here. They have something called certifying your roster. And what happens here, if you're not attending class or if you don't turn in this assignment, you'll be on the list and you'll have your financial aid stopped. If you don't have financial aid, don't be concerned about this. But if you do have financial aid, you're going to want to turn this in by the due date. So I see down below two links, a PDF link and a link to a file. So other important things on here is a reiteration of the due date and the cutoff date. VIP notes is that you can have multiple submissions, but I'll grade only the last one. Due dates apply. What that means is you got to be careful with your due dates, so that if you turn it in before the due date and then you resubmit after the due date, you'll be on a 50-point scale. You don't want to be doing stuff like that. So if you're wanting to resubmit, be aware of that. So when will grading occur? Grading will occur after the due date. So if you turn yours in, say, on the first day of class, it's not going to get graded until after due date. I grade them all after the due date. Regrading, remember, if you turn it in and you're missing something, you know, it's graded. There's no situation where I'll say, okay, yeah, go ahead and submit that again, kind of situation. You're not gonna find that. Okay, so in order to do Lab 1, you're going to need this file. And to acquire this file, you can get it in different ways. It depends upon what kind of browser you have. But just trust me that you're going to go ahead and need it. Now, how can I get this file? You can get this file from the author's website, or you can just click on this link here and acquire it. I'm going to go ahead and click on this link here and see what happens in my browser. We'll problem solve this together. I get a little open dialog at the bottom, and I get a little save. So I'm going to click on save, and my computer runs a little scan on it, and then I have choices of open or open folder. I'm going to click on open folder, and that gives me an opportunity to go ahead and then view the file. Now this opens up in a different monitor since I have dual monitors, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it in. Here you'll notice that I have it. It's so what I want to do is I want to go ahead and just put it on the desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag this and drop it onto the desktop. And then close it. Well, actually, let me go ahead and demonstrate to you that it is on the desktop. If I click on desktop, well, I have a lot of stuff on my desktop. Just there it is at the very, very bottom. Okay. All right, so I'm closing that, and we're back here. Just trust me, you'll need it at a later point in time. So you want to acquire that file and just get ready for when you'll need it. So what do you got to do in Lab 1? It's all in this PDF. Now, you can click on the link here, or you can click on the link here. You get two different kinds of experiences. The link right here for the preview lets you view it in here. If you click on this link here with the PDF, it lets you download the file to your computer. You get a little dialog at the bottom where I can either click or open, or I can either save or open. I'm going to just go ahead and open. And that will open up in whatever a reader you have. I have the Adobe Reader, so this is going to go ahead and open up in the Adobe Reader, and here it is. This is the actual assignment. So for Lab 1, you're going to do three things, and let's just take it one step at a time. You're going to work on Alice exercise 0.1. That's from chapter 0.1. It's an exercise. There's two kinds of things that you're going to work on. They're called exercises, well, let's just start right there. You'll have exercises. So this is Eat Your Veggies, okay, and it's on page 21 to 31. And the extra requirement on here is to make each say statement last longer. All right, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in detail a little bit more. Then you're going to work on the tea party, and that's from pages 32 to 45. I even tell you what steps to go through. So you really just start on step 1 and you go all the way to 33. If something messes up, just backtrack it and do it again. You probably missed something. All right. So you'll do eat your veggies, tea party, that's Alice, and then you'll do the hello world. Now when you get to the hello world, well, going back to the tea party, again, you'll make the say statements last longer, and you're going to make the audio and actions occur at the same time. See code screenshot. So you'll see the code screenshot down below to get an idea as to how to do that. Then the hello world thing, the extra requirements will be to align the curly brackets vertically, add comments on the ending curly bracket for the main method and the ending curly bracket for the class. And then I want you to go ahead and add a blank line in the code and state who wrote the first hello world program. So basically you're going to get all that and you're going to put it in a folder called lab1 underscore and then your username. And then you're going to zip that and send it to me using the Canvas tool. So don't send me any back folders. So what happens is with Alice, the new version of Alice creates back folders all over the place. Don't send them to me. Just send me what the assignment asks for. So what will you send me? You're going to end up sending me the vegan, however you want to pronounce it, Alice project file, the Tea Party Alice project file, and the Hello World NetBeans project folder. I took a screenshot of this from my computer so you can see what it actually looks like. I'm not going to be doing this for all of the assignments, but it's your first one. So basically you get an idea that the Alice project files end in an A3P if you have file extensions turned on Windows. So here we see the vegan.a3p, the tea party.a3p, and then you have this folder here called Hello World with all of its contents. Do not drill down on this and just send me the Java file. Send me the entire project folder, the entire NetBeans project folder. So you put these three things inside of a folder called lab1 underscore and then your username, right? And then you'll zip that and send that to me as an attachment. So how do you get ready for this? Basically, read your book. You got to have some content in your head. Read your book, come to class, understand what's going down, get the data file. Some of these lab assignments may require a data file. I showed you how to get it. You'll be using that audio file in the Tea Party later on. I put it, as you see, I put it on the desktop, and then when I need it, I'm just going to go ahead and get it when I need it. So basically the idea here is you're going to be submitting your lab assignments through Canvas, and I will accept them by no other way. So if you send them to me by email, it's just not going to get graded, right? So the book, get it as soon as possible. What happens here is the author of the book gives you the first few chapters online. So if you'll click on this link, you'll be able to go ahead and do this assignment while you're waiting for your book to arrive. Remember, the syllabus gives you a link to go ahead and buy it. And you can also get it from the Amazon as well. So as far as the software is concerned, I suggest that you read the author's website. She gives you the procedures. If it's going to take hours to install on your computer at home. So if you're running out of time, just come to our computer labs, come to J119, and do your lab there until you can get this installed on your computer. Make sure that all of your programs have comments, general comments, where you specify the name of the programmer, the date, and the description. Here's the code for the first program. Now, after you do everything that's in the book, this is what you should end up with. Except that I've shown you how to go ahead and make each say statement last longer. I'm showing you how to go ahead and change the duration to 2. And basically I'm telling you to do that is because without this, I just can't read the screen. It just goes by too fast. I need a little bit more time to read the screen. So if you could please go ahead and do that. It is a requirement. Since I need it, I've made it a requirement. So it's not the most difficult thing to do. I show you how to go ahead and do it. So in other words, just go ahead and do the exercise in the book. And then after you finish, you go back and click on Add Details, Duration 2, and that'll make this stay statement last a little longer on the screen so I can go ahead and read it. Then the tea party, again, just go through the book, do the exercise first, and if you notice, if you go through the book, basically what happens is you have this audio. Let me go ahead and make this a little bit more readable here. I'm going to go into reading mode. And what happens here is if you do it through the book, what happens is that the audio file plays first, because basically the code is placed in sequence. In other words, if you've got the audio file first, it has to finish before the actions occur. In other words, before Alice moves and before Alice speaks. So what happens is a lot of my students who don't have speakers, they think that nothing's happening because there's no movement. So what I propose is that you learn a little bit about something called the do together tile and the do in order tile. Now, doing in order is something in sequence, but doing together is like concurrent. Code is happening concurrently. Okay, so basically what I ask you to do is just drag the do together and do in order, and then just move all of the tiles. I know it's going to be a little tedious to go ahead and do that, but you just click and drag on these little tiles, and if you want to get rid of one, you just right mouse click on it, delete, and so that's how you go ahead and finish off. And I think you'll be pleased with this because basically then the music and the action will be occurring at the same time. Now, the only thing that I ask also is that you extend the length of the say statements so that I can read them on the screen. Make all of them 2, but make that large one that the Mad Hatter does. Make that a 5 because that one just takes me too long to just go ahead and read all that big old sentence on the screen. So that's the first 2, and then that brings us to the hello world. So again, just go through all of the steps that are in the book, right? Then you add my enhancements. And what are my enhancements? I've asked you to align the curly brackets vertically. I've asked you to add a comment to the ending curly bracket of main and to the ending curly bracket of the class. You see it done here. Then I ask you to get rid of any comments that were made by the editor or by the IDE, and that's probably the first thing you should do right away. And the only thing that you're adding is this last little part down here, because if you go through the book, see what the book is going to have you do is going to say, hey, do this and then do that and then do this wrong and then fix this and then fix that. So in other words, it's kind of like a learning experience. But by the time you finish going through all the steps, you end up with this one little line of code, right? Then all I'm asking you to do is just add one more little line of code. Again, I'm asking you to find out who wrote the first Hello World program. And I'll give you the link. You can Google it and find out. It's not the most difficult thing to do. And what you do is you add that person's name right in here, right? So here's the link to find out who wrote the first Hello World. And of course, you can Google it. There's a Wikipedia on it. It's a very big thing. I think anybody who's going to be starting in computer science needs to know this fact. It's a matter of history. I provide you with some resources. In fact, these resource videos, I think you should watch them before you even start coding. So go ahead and learn about the scene editor in Alice. Learn about the code editor and learn how to drag those little code tiles and drop them onto the code window. You really need to watch them before you get started. And same thing for Java. You're going to want to learn a little bit more about how to add comments. And here's a video that the author made on the Hello World application. You may want to watch that. It is old, but it is good. But other than that, this particular lab, as well as all of them, calls for some very specific requirements, some very specific specifications that need to be satisfied. It's not a license to just turn in anything you like. In other words, in the Alice application, I don't expect to see any mountains, or beaches on the background, right? Just do it exactly like it tells you in the book and then add my enhancements, okay? So any deviations from what is asked for will result in points off. Like for example, in all Java applications do not include a package statement. And if you don't understand that, basically if you go through the book, it'll explain that. And there is one lab assignment at the end of the class in which we will use the package statement, and it makes sense to use it then, but since it doesn't make sense to use it in the very beginning, we're not going to be using package statements, and there'll be points off for doing that. So let's go ahead and just take a quick look at how you would prepare this and submit this to me, okay? So coming back to the very, very top, again, let me go ahead and say you've got 3 things to do. You're going to go to the first one on here, and you're going to work from page 21 to 31. You're going to go through steps 1 through 33. Go through each step. Then you add the enhancement, right? Or the requirement. Same thing for the second one. Start on page 32. Go to page 45. Go from steps 1 to 38. And then you do what? Then you add the 2 extra requirements. See the code screen that I just showed you. It may be a little bit hard to read, but basically if you go through the exercises in the book, you'll have that code. The only thing you're going to be adding is you're going to be making the say statements longer, and you're going to be adding those 2 little tiles that I ask you to do together and do in order, and then you're just going to just drag them in the proper order. So you don't really need that extreme detail if you've gone through the book. And then lastly, you've got the Hello World. The Hello World thing is an experience. It's going to actually ask you to make some mistakes and then fix them along the way. It's kind of like showing you how to write code in a Java application. And you only end up at the very, very end with 2 lines of code on there. And I ask you to add another one on there and perform some enhancements like align the curly brackets. In fact, you'll be aligning the curly brackets. It's going to be a requirement for all labs to align the curly brackets and to go ahead and comment the main method and the main class. Because those are very, very, very important sections of a Java application, and you don't want to be deleting these curly brackets. You're going to be creating a folder. This folder is going to be called lab1 _ and then your username, and then you're going to go ahead and only put in there what's asked for: the vegan, the Tea Party, and the Hello World application. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just give you a very, 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 very quick demonstration of how to go ahead and submit your lab assignment. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create the vegan, the Tea Party, just shells and the Hello World. Just some quick shells. I'm not going to go ahead and go through every single little step. I'm just going to go ahead and just show you how to go ahead and get the files created. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up Alice. I've got it already open here, and I'm just going to go ahead and select grass on here, and then I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now, how do you put objects on the screen? And to add objects on the screen, as you can see here, my screen seems to be taking a little bit of time to paint up on here. So let's just wait a little while. Maybe they gave me the fast computer. Let's see. Or let's just try that again. Well, it seems to be locked up. It's the price of free, right? So Alice has crashed. Not, it's probably good that happened here, because now you get a chance to know. Oh, there it is. It finally came up there. I guess I just needed to be a little bit more patient. Okay, tell me. It's not the first time that people have told me that, but I've got a lot of things going on this computer, a lot of things running, and it's not the fastest thing. So let me go ahead and start Alice again. This gives you an opportunity to see how it, how you call it. So I just type in AL, and you see I can see it on the screen here. I just typed it in. I clicked on Start, and then typed in AL, and then I can just go ahead and launch it from the menu on here, and then just wait for it to come up. Here's your splash screen, as they say in programming, and it's usually a screen that you put up there while you're waiting for the application to go ahead and start up on here. And this gives us an opportunity to see the beautiful hourglass here as this work of art, Alice, starts up. Now, Alice was created by some brilliant minds, and it was created to help beginners get interested in programming. So be open-minded about it. Again, I'm going to click on grass, and I'm going to click on OK, and hopefully I'll have better luck this time, and maybe I should just wait it out for this thing to go ahead and paint the screen on here. So basically, Alice was created with Java, and that's why it needs to be the second thing installed. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Scene Setup, and in Scene Setup, I'm going to go ahead and add an object to the screen, and that is taking a little bit way too much time to be responsive on here. There it is. Okay, well, so let's say I want a cow. I can go ahead and just go do a search for it, or I can just drill down on the objects here. So search gallery, I'm just going to go ahead and say cow. Okay, C-O-W. And I might be, my computer might be doing an update at this time, so that's probably why we're experiencing this delay. Okay, so there it is, cow. All right, so there's the silly cow. And so I just drag it and drop it on the screen. So notice it's going to go ahead and call the object cow. I can change the name of it, but I'm just going to go ahead and accept it. Okay? I click OK, and there's the silly thing. I can go ahead and, move it around if I want. And then I click on Code, Edit Code, and that takes me back to the code editor. Right? From here, I can go ahead and drag a tile on here by, like, for example, a comment, and then just drop it on the screen. And then, I can go ahead and add a comment. Comments are not compiled. So to save this, you're going to have to go ahead and click on File and then Save. Typically, what you'll do is you'll run it and experience the graphics of what you've done on here. But I'm just going to go ahead and just save it. So I'm going to go click on File, Save. I'm going to save it on the desktop, and I'm going to call this Vegan. And press Enter. All right. All right, so that's saved. So if I click on Close on here, we should go ahead and notice the, and I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and minimize all of the things that I have open. So I've got a ton of things open, and that's probably what's messing it up here. So here's the file that I just created, okay? Then I'm going to come back over here, and let's go ahead and start Alice up one more time. And this time, I'm going to go ahead and create the. Let's go ahead and create the Tea Party. Now, notice how I used a capital when I created that project with a capital V. That's really, really important. The really why that's important is because the name of your project is going to be the name of the class, and that's a very important idea in Java programming. It's just for right now, it's one of those things you got to memorize. But later on, you definitely want to understand that difference. Notice also on the screen there was a vegan.bak file. You don't want to be including that when you submit that to me. Some students, by mistake in the past, they've included that only. You don't want to go ahead and do that. So let's do the Tea Party now. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and go grass and then OK, because I just want to just show you the process of starting. So basically, you select your background, you go in there and you create your scene first, and then you go to the code window and then you code it and then you save it. Now, Alice doesn't save automatically. You have to actually save it manually. So, like say for example, you know, if I'm going to go ahead and just do the same thing. This is a comment. And you know, the typical procedure is people will go ahead and set up the scene first. And after they set up the scene, you know, and setting up the scene is simply a matter of dragging objects, you know, onto the desktop and things like that. What that does then, you know, like say for example, let's go ahead and search the gallery. That may not be the procedures in the book, but it's my fast way to find a particular object. Let's see if I can find Alice on here. And it's searching through, and basically, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag it onto the screen. So basically what these templates are actually classes. And when you drag them onto the screen and drop them, you're going to create an object. So if I click on one of these little templates here and drop it, I can change the name of this, or I can just go ahead and accept that. Let's go ahead and accept that. So I have an object here, and it's called Alice, okay? And then now I go to the code window, and then I can drag these little tiles down here from the bottom, and I can drag tiles from the procedures tab, from the function tab. When you go through your book will explain how to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and go to File, and then Save again. I'm going to go ahead and save this on the desktop. It's already on the desktop because that's where I was last time, and I'm going to call it Tea Party. Notice I do this with a capital T. All right, so now I can go ahead and then close this, and then I'll notice that Tea Party is right here. So these are the two files that you're going to be turning into me. Notice how these back folders, do not send them to me. Do not send them to me, please. Okay, so there'll be points off for taking that. Now the next one, if I remember correctly, is the which one was it? The Hello World. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do the Hello World. Because you're supposed to go through the book. I'm just creating these little shells here just to show you the files that you're going to be doing. Here's NetBeans, and how do I just went to Start and just typed in NET and then launched it from there. I'm going to go to File, New Project, and I'm going to start a Java application. Now, later on, we'll learn about bringing in the Alice projects into the NetBeans IDE. That will be selecting the first one on here. And you know that you've installed your software correctly if you have that. But right now, we're just going to choose the one below it, Java application next. And I'm going to give it a name, and it's going to be Hello World. And it's already set for the desktop, but if you want to change that location, you can just click on Browse and then change the location to a different place. You know, like for example, let's say that you wanted to go ahead and put it on, you know, your USB. You can go ahead and do that. You know, for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it on the desktop. I'm also going to get rid of the package statement, and for right now, just go ahead and trust me. Do not include a package statement. And the way you do that is you get rid of the period and everything to the left of the period down below where it says here, create main method. We'll talk a little bit more about packages later on, and then you just simply click on finish. So basically what I'm asking you to do is before you even get started here is get rid of all of the unessential comments, align the curly brackets vertically, and then go ahead and comment the any curly bracket for main, the any curly bracket for the class, and then you're ready to go ahead and write your code. This is just simply a matter of getting your code structurally ready. It creates a code structure that makes it very easy to read, very easy to understand, and it is going to be a requirement for every Java application. So here's the code that was written for you on your behalf. A long time ago, we had to actually create this. So you get this for free, and this would take like beginners like an hour to go ahead and type in. So I'm just going to get rid of all of the comments that were created by the IDE, and I'm going to go ahead and align the curly brackets. And what happens a lot of times here is when beginners first start this is they end up deleting things that they shouldn't be deleting. So it takes time to get a little bit used to the structure here, but basically I'm asking you to go ahead and create a structure like this. Here's where you will comment. And place the comment on the class. And then at the very, very top, of course, you'll put in your general comments. And I just simply do asterisk or a slash asterisk, and I press enter, and that puts in the closing for me. You want to go ahead and do as many things automatically as possible. So then you just go ahead and fill in the rest. So let's just go ahead and do a quick file save on here, so you can see what's going to happen here. I'm going to click on save, and I'm going to go ahead and that saved it, but I want you all to know there, to compile this, you click on the little play button here. When you compile something, it saves. So you really don't need to do a lot of saving, and you never want to do file save as inside of NetBeans. Okay, so it's saved. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and close this, minimize this, and then I'll notice that I've got this folder here. So this is what you're going to send me, these three things. So you're not going to send me these BAK files. Okay, so you're going to right mouse click on the desktop, and we're going to go ahead and create a folder. So to go ahead and do that, we're going to go ahead and point to new and then folder. And remember, it was something like lab 1 and then your username. Does nobody knows what that is, right? And then what we're going to do here is create a selection net over these three things, and then just drag them and drop them onto this folder. And that puts everything in there. You can verify that they're there by opening the folder up, and you can verify that you've got three things in that folder. The biggest thing to remember here is don't include the BAK file. So this is what you should be sending to me. So I'm going to go ahead and click on close, right mouse click on the desktop, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and point to send to, and then compress. So this is what you're going to send me. This zipped file is what you're going to be sending me. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So I'm going to come over here and click on Submit Assignment. And then I'm going to look for the Browse button. I'm going to click on the Browse button. And I put this on the desktop. So if you've got to navigate to the desktop. Now, if you put this on your flash drive, you're going to have to navigate to where your flash drive is. So you do have to have some computer literacy to do this class, definitely. So I'm clicking on the desktop. I've got a lot of things on my desktop. So here it is, lab1 _ Billy Preston. So it's, you're going to go ahead and select it, click open, and you'll see it listed there. Once you see it listed, the only thing left for you to do is to click on Submit Assignment. So when you click on Submit Assignment, then you should be seeing on the upper right-hand side of the screen a check mark and the word submitted. That means that it has been submitted correctly. The next thing that you see here is the Resubmit Assignment button, and that's if you want to go ahead and resubmit it. Let's say that you forgot something, you could resubmit it. But remember, if you want to be on the 100-point scale, you want to go ahead and resubmit before the due date. So it's been submitted. Now it's up to me to go ahead and grade it. And so basically it will be graded after the due date. So if you click on grades, you'll come over here and you'll notice this little icon here. This little icon here signifies that it has not been graded yet. Okay, so once I grade it, and when will I grade it? After the due date. Okay, so that's lab 1. I don't have anything else, to say other than, follow the steps that are in the book. This was just a top level view of how to go ahead and get ready for lab 1, how to go ahead and do lab 1. Basically, you do lab 1 by working through the book and then adding those little enhancements or requirements and then submitting it. I think one of the key things you need to do here is go through the steps that are in the book, then go back to the PDF and say, hey, did I do all of the extra requirements? I would print out the PDF because people who read from the screen have a tendency of forgetting something. Print it out, put it in front of yourself, refer to it before before you actually submit your lab assignment, and there shouldn't be any question in your head that this isn't 100. If you created a folder and you have placed those 3 things in there and you've gone through the book and you've done the extra requirements, you should have 100. Okay, so there shouldn't be any mystery about it. Okay, so that's all there is. Professor Benavides, and have fun working on Lab 1.